Okay, I have to admit, my home network security has probably been a little bit more relaxed than I would have liked, at least up until now. Now, you can attribute that to either being lazy or maybe a lack of appreciation for the severity of the topic, but whether it's one or both of those, either way, things are getting more complicated. And by that, I mean I'm adding more and more devices to my network that do require an extra layer of protection. Things like IP cameras, smart plugs, smart switches, etc. Luckily for me, Symantec and I have worked out a great sponsorship for this video that allows me to introduce some of the features that the Norton Core Router has to offer, and along with that, bring in some much needed added security to my home network. And the best thing about it all, it's super easy to do. So yeah, this video is totally sponsored, but that does not affect my overall experience with this router. But before I get too far into this video, let's cover some of those juicy tech specs, just to get it out of the way. The Symantec Norton Core Router comes with the 1.7 GHz dual-core processor. It has 1 GB of RAM, 4 GB of eMMC flash memory, and has 802.11a, b, g, N, and AC, Wave 2. It offers a 4x4 AC 2600 MU-MIMO capability with 3 gigabit LAN ports on the back with an additional 1 gigabit WAN port and 2 USB 3.0. It also has low power Bluetooth. Now the Norton Core is a dual band router offering 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi with beamforming. Now this gives you a theoretical throughput of up to 2.5 gigabits per second, ensuring fast 4K streaming and lag-free gaming. Okay, so the tech specs on the router, kind of impressive, but what really gets me is the software. And not only the software on the router, but also the software that comes with the router that allows you to install an antivirus on as many PCs as you want on your home network. Think of it as a yin to the yang. The router itself is going to help protect your home network, while the antivirus installed on the PC is there to back it up. And again, this is all super easy to do. Let me give you an example. The initial setup process is blazing fast. All it takes is downloading the Norton Core App, plugging in the router, and then following the instructions. Your iOS or Android device will automatically connect to the Norton Core via Bluetooth, and it gets everything up and running for you with little to no effort. And then once everything is set up, your network just starts to come alive. If you use the same network name and password, everything will just start connecting, so that's a good tip. And then right there on your app, you're going to start to get notifications on everything that is connecting to your network. Now, once you start diving into the app, things start getting a little bit more interesting. For example, right off the bat, the router starts to judge you. Don't worry, it's not bad. What it does is it actually gives you a number, a rating for your home network security. It's based off a few different features. Things like, do you have the antivirus installed on the computers on your home network? Or do you have a strong Wi-Fi password, etc. But all this actually brings us to our next point, and that is Norton AntiVirus. With the purchase of the Norton Core, you get a free 1-year subscription to an unlimited amount of Norton AntiVirus installations on your home network computers. And while this is great and everything, and Norton AntiVirus has its perks, but that's really not what interests me the most with this router. For me, it's the deep packet inspection that comes built in with the router. And I did test this, but I will dive a little bit more into this in another video. But for now, the short story here is that deep packet inspection is going to go through and scan little bits of code that's coming through your network that is unsecure, and it's going to basically real-time virus scan it to make sure that it's nothing harmful to your computers. And if it is harmful, it will automatically block it from being downloaded to your computer. But then again, this is another thing where you got like a yin and yang thing going on, where just in case for some reason, if the virus does make it through your router and make it over to your PC, the Norton AntiVirus is there to back it up. And you might be wondering, well, if this router's so good, how is that going to happen? Well, it's real simple. If you're browsing through a secure website, something that encrypts the data, or if you're using a VPN, then it's not going to be able to scan those packets to see what code is in it because, well, it's secure. Now, the deep packet inspection actually has a couple different options to choose from. The default one basically scans everything that Symantec hasn't deemed completely safe. They have like a national database that constantly gets updated, and it references that in order to not overwork your router. But the advanced view, though, that takes it a little bit further, and it scans everything it can. Well, at least everything that's unsecured. It might slow things down just a little bit because it is scanning a lot more data than what it was with the basic view, but it is kind of an added layer of security. And personally, I kind of find this as a viable option because you never know when a trusted website could get hacked and could get infected with a malware or a ransomware or something like that without them knowing it. And even though it's a trusted site, that doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% guaranteed to be safe. But let's get back to the Norton Core app because I find it really interesting, especially because you log into the app using your Norton account rather than having to be on your home network. So that means you can manage your router from anywhere in the world as long as you have internet connection at your home and an internet connection on your mobile device. So you can do all kinds of things, like you can set up automatic times for the internet to turn off, or even set up user-based content filtering. So if you have kids and you want to filter out everything but kid-friendly websites, totally an option. One thing I really like though is the ability to pause the internet anytime you want to. And you can do that for the entire family or just each individual user. Totally up to you. But the app itself is actually what controls your entire network, not just those key features I mentioned before. So that's where you're going to set things up like port forwarding or reservations for IP addresses on your internal network. And of course, it's going to give you notifications or alerts that happen to your home network. For example, if a new device joins your home network, it'll send you an alert. Well, at least it's an option to do so. Same thing as if you get a security alert or an update, something like that, all those notifications will go directly to your mobile device, assuming you have an internet connection. And this is kind of weird because it takes the management of your router out of your home. It allows you to turn off the internet anywhere you want to, or make changes or set something up without actually having to be on the same network. That's kind of interesting. Now, to be clear here, this is not a revolutionary feature. I mean, well, the app is kind of different, but being able to manage your router remotely is not new. In fact, most routers have a remote management option that allows you to connect to your IP address and make those changes. But the thing is, there's a couple flaws for that. For one, you have to know what your IP address is. Yes, you could set up dynamic DNS, but we're just going with the basics here. And two, it does kind of expose your router to the outside world. So if somebody was scanning out there looking for routers that could be accessible through the web interface and through the internet, well, they could potentially find your router and maybe even find a way into your router, gaining access to your home network. So if you ask me, it's kind of an unnecessary security risk and is the reason why I've never used that feature myself. I'm more along the lines of remoting into my home computer and doing it that way because I just don't want my router blasting its information out to the rest of the world. So the Norton Core Router, for me, adds some much needed multi-layered set of security features, something that I was severely lacking before. Everything from the built-in firewall, the real-time virus scanner, the remote management that's just tied to your Norton account that takes all the guesswork out of how to get it to work, to being able to get instant notifications of security issues that might arise on my home network if I'm not at home. This allows me to immediately take action and not just come home and find out that something went wrong and I wasn't there in order to handle it while it did. I can definitely say it's brought a whole new level of confidence to my home network security, something that I haven't had before. And I love the fact that it was just so easy to do and just brought down to such an easy level that all you have to do is install the app, follow the instructions, and before you know it, you're set up. And my personal level of laziness or maybe some lack of appreciation for home network security is not going to come into play here because really, technically, in order to make this thing insecure, you really have to go out of your way. Now, I do plan on doing some in-depth testing on these security features, basically putting it through the paces, seeing how well it's able to detect different viruses being downloaded to my computer. Look for that in another video. But with all that said, the last thing I want to mention is that this router definitely looks unique. It's not like every other router I've ever owned in my entire life. You can put this in a room and blend it in with your decorations, and unless somebody actually took the time to sit and look at it, they may or may not know it's actually a router, assuming you can hide the wiring, but a whole different subject. If you guys want to learn some more detailed technical specifications and get an updated pricing on the Norton Core Router, check out the links in the description. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe below. As always, I appreciate every single one of you for watching my videos. Thank you and have a good night.